Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take these really challenging sources, sort of strip away the jargon,
All right, let's
and
dive
get
into
right to
one
the
of the
core
weirdest,
ideas.
most unsettling stories you'll ever read.
Cracking open
Franz
one of the
Kafka's
most
The
famous
Metamorphosis.
and frankly
And
unsettling
trust me,
works
this
of
is
the
a
20th
tale that
century.
That's
really
right, we're
gets
talking
under your
about
skin.
Franz Kafka's
Not
The
just because of the whole
Metamorphosis.
bug thing,
And everyone
but
knows
because
the
of what it
basic
says
image,
about the
right?
world we're all living
Gregor
in right
Samsa,
now.
a salesman,
So let me
wakes
ask
up
you
one morning
something.
and he's
Imagine you wake up
turned into
tomorrow
this giant,
and you're not
horrible
you
insect.
anymore.
It's
You're
pure
something else,
body horror on the
something
surface.
monstrous.
But when you really
What's
dig
the
into
very
the
first
analysis,
thing that goes through your
and
head?
you
Pure
realize
panic?
the story
Sheer
isn't
horror?
about a bug at all.
Well,
Not
for
really.
our main
No.
character, Gregor
Our sources
Samsa,
are pretty
the
clear that
answer
the
is
transformation is just
kind
the
of strange.
catalyst. It's the
Get this.
stage for
Gregor
Kafka's
wakes
real
up as a
point.
giant
And
bug,
our mission
right?
today
But
is
his
to
first
distill
thought
that
isn't,
core
oh my God,
insight,
I'm a
that the
giant
novel
insect.
Is this deep
Nope.
examination of
oh no,
existential
I'm going to be late for
alienation.
work.
Right, in a
I mean,
world,
seriously,
our world
that
that
one
measures a
absurd,
person's worth
almost
almost
funny
exclusively
reaction
by their
is the
usefulness.
absolute
Exactly.
key
If
to
you can't
understanding
be
this
productive,
entire story.
Are you even really there?
And that really gets
We've
us
got
to our
analysis
first
that
big
shows
idea.
how this
A man
literary
becomes a bug.
freak show
But the
is
real horror
really
here,
a mirror.
it's
A
not the
mirror
transformation
for the anxieties
itself.
we all have
It's
about
what
our
that
identity, our
transformation
purpose.
reveals about
So
the
let's
life
just jump
Gregor
right
was
in.
Let's do it.
already
Okay,
trapped
so
in. You see,
Gregor wakes
Gregor's
up, he's on his
mind
back,
is
he's got this
basically
hard
a
shell, all
prison,
these little
and
legs
the
waving in
bars
the
are
air. He's
made
been,
of duty and
instantly
obligation.
dehumanized.
Do you expect a
He
scream?
is so completely
Primal
consumed
terror.
by his
Of
job
course.
and
Yeah.
the
But
need to provide
if
for
you
his
look at what
family
he's actually
that even a
thinking,
world-shattering event like this
what's his first
can't
concern?
snap him
It's
out of
not
it.
the horror of his
He's
new
honestly
body.
more terrified of what
It's
his
his
boss will
schedule.
say
It's his
than the
job.
fact that
It's
he
the
has a
most
shell
shocking detail
and
Kafka
way too many
gives us
legs.
right at the start, and it
What
really
we're talking
sets
about
the
here
tone
is
for
something called
everything.
He's worried about the
internalized
5
social
o'clock train he's
pressure.
already missed.
Basically, Gregor has
And his
tied his
boss.
entire
What his
identity,
boss
his
is gonna
whole
think.
sense
The
of
financial
self-worth
ruin his
to his
family will
job,
face
to his
if he misses
productivity.
even one
So
day
the
of
second
work.
he can't work,
The physical
he's not filled with
nightmare is
fear,
almost
he's filled with guilt.
secondary.
It's a
Sound
professional
familiar?
freak out.
It's the kind
I
of
found the
pressure you see
analysis on
everywhere
this
in
so
today's
fascinating
hustle culture.
that his
Okay,
first
but
thought
this
wasn't,
pressure cooker
how
he's
did this
in,
happen?
it's not just
Yeah,
about
how am I
work.
going to explain
His
this to my
transformation
manager?
puts his
And that
family's love
choice
under a
is
microscope.
everything.
And what
It
we
shows how
see,
deeply
well,
he's
it's pretty
internalized
devastating.
social pressure.
It shows us
For
that their
Gregor,
idea of
his
value is
entire
all about
identity has been
usefulness,
swallowed by his
leading to a
labor.
total
He's the
collapse
provider.
of
He's
love.
the job.
Think about it.
Exactly.
Before he
His
turned
sense of
into a
self
bug,
isn't tied to his
Gregor was the one
personality
paying
or
all the
his
bills.
dreams. It's
His
just
family
function as a
relied on
traveling
him,
salesman.
and they
So
showed
when he
him
can't
love.
do that job
But the story
anymore,
rips
He
back
loses
the
his
curtain on a
anchor.
really
he
harsh
loses
truth.
everything. I mean,
Their
think about
love
that.
was
He's in this
completely
state of total
conditional. It
biological
was a
collapse,
transaction.
and
The
his
minute
main
he couldn't
emotion
be
is
the
guilt.
breadwinner anymore,
He feels guilty
poof,
for not
the
being able to
affection
work.
was gone.
It shows how
And you
fragile
can watch
that
this
foundation
family
is.
bond
Yeah.
just
If your worth
crumble
is
in
just your
stages.
productivity,
At first, you get
the
a little bit of
second that's
compassion.
gone.
Your
His sister
recognized
grieves. She
existence
brings
is
him some
gone
food.
too, and that
But
sets
that
up the
fades
whole
pretty
tragedy.
quick and
But,
turns
couldn't
into
you
resentment.
argue that he's
Soon
worried
his room
because
is
he
just a
loves his
storage
family,
closet
he
for
is
their
providing
junk.
for them?
And then
Maybe it's
comes
not
the
about the
final,
system, but about
total
affection?
rejection.
That is such a
They
critical
stop calling
question,
him
and
Gregor.
Kafka, I
They
think,
start calling him
addresses it
it,
head
a
on
thing
with
that
how the
needs to be
family
gotten rid of.
reacts.
Okay.
So
Gregor
what's
might
the
believe
bigger
it's all
point
rooted
Kafka
in
is
love,
making?
but
Well,
the story
Gregor's own
stress
little
tests
tragedy
that
is really
idea.
a powerful
His
metaphor for
alienation
something
just
much
gets deeper
larger.
and deeper,
It's a
and it
deeper
reveals
diagnosis
this
of the
brutal
alienation
truth
that can be so
about the
central to modern
conditional
life.
nature of their love.
And this
So
is
it was a
maybe the
transaction.
most
It
heartbreaking
seems that
part
way.
of the
His
whole
parents,
thing.
his sister
Gregor can
grieve, they all
understand
depend on
every
his
single
salary.
word his
And the
family
second
says.
he can't
He
provide
hears
it,
their
the
complaints,
support
he hears
doesn't
their
just fade
disgust,
it,
but when he tries to speak,
it
to
curdles
communicate,
into
all
resentment.
they hear
And the
is
breakdown of
screeching,
those individual
just
reactions
noise.
is just
Every time he
clinical.
tries to
It's
connect,
devastating. You
they
have the
think he's being
father
aggressive.
who is
He is
lazy,
utterly
independent
and
before.
completely
And suddenly
alone,
he's full of this
trapped in a
aggressive
body
energy.
that won't let him be
He
heard.
gets a job
This
again,
leads us to
but
a
his
really
first real
core
action
idea here.
toward Gregor is
Existential
violence.
The
alienation.
Apple incident.
The infamous
It's that
Apple
deep,
incident, yeah.
awful
He
feeling of
literally
being
throws
invisible in your own
apples
life,
at Gregor,
you know?
and
Of
one
being
gets lodged
totally
in his back,
unseen
causing
and
this
unheard,
awful
trapped
festering
in
wound.
systems, whether it's
That
your
piece
job
of
or
fruit,
even
a
your own
symbol
family
of
that
life,
just don't
becomes a
see you as
weapon.
human
He's
anymore.
trying to
But
physically
why?
expel the burden.
Why
And
did
great
this
his
happen
sister.
to Gregor? The book
That's almost
never
worse
tells
because
you.
she's the one who
There's
cares
no
at
curse,
first.
Her
no
arc
magic,
is the most
no
tragic
scientific
part of the
experiment
novel for
gone
me.
wrong.
She's the last
It
bastion of
just
compassion.
She brings
happens.
him food. She tries to
And
clean
that's
his
the
room.
genius
At first,
of
yeah,
Kafka.
she sees
The
a sick
total
brother,
lack of an
but then
explanation
her own life
feels a
starts to
lot like
improve.
real
She gets a
life,
job.
doesn't
She
it?
starts taking
Sometimes
lessons.
awful,
And
absurd
slowly,
things just
Gregor
happen
shifts
for
in
no
her
reason at
mind
all,
from
and we're
family
left to deal with
to an
all of
obstacle.
which
From a
brings
person
us to
to a
the story's
problem.
final,
She goes from
chilling
caregiver
verdict.
to
Kafka
basically
poses
his
this
jailer.
huge,
And the
unanswered
physical act
question.
that always sticks with me
So, how
is
does it
when
all
they take out
end
his
for Gregor
furniture.
Samsa?
Oh, that's the moment the family
Well,
bond
Gregor
just
dies, quietly, alone in his room.
shatters. They
And his
decide to
family,
empty his room
they
to
don't
give him more
grieve.
space to
They
crawl.
feel
Which sounds practical
relief.
on the surface.
Like a
Right, it's
huge
framed as
burden
being
has
for
just
his
been
convenience,
lifted
but
off
what
their
it really
shoulders.
does is
The
strip
very
away
next
the last
day,
bits
they
of
actually
his
take a little
humanity.
trip out to the
His
country
desk,
to enjoy the sunshine,
picture on the wall.
already planning their
Anything
bright
that
new
reminded him
future.
he was once a person.
For them,
And he
life
silently
just
begs
goes on.
them not to, but
And
they
that
can't
is the
understand
brutal
him. He's
truth
just an
Kafka
animal in an
slams down
empty
in front of
cage at
us.
that point.
Utterly
Society
isolated.
does not
Which
mourn
brings
the
us to
loss
this
of those
other
who no
layer of
longer
Kafka's
serve its
genius.
structure.
Mhm.
How he
Gregor's
presents this
entire
absurd
existence was
situation
only considered
as
valid, as
Completely
long as he was
ordinary.
useful.
Yes.
The
There's no
moment he
reason
stopped
given for the
serving his
transformation,
function,
no
he
curse,
stopped
no magic,
mattering.
no science
His
experiment
own
gone wrong.
family,
He
a
just
little
is a
society of its
bug.
own,
And that lack
just
of
threw him
explanation is
away
the point.
and moved on.
Our sources connect
So
us
we're left
directly
staring at
to
this
existential
huge,
thought.
difficult
We
question.
are,
The
thrown
Metamorphosis
into
doesn't give us
situations,
any
into
easy
suffering,
answers.
into
It
crisis,
just holds up a
without
mirror
any
to a
clear
world that
reason
so
or
often
justice.
says
just
we
happens.
are what we
It
do.
just happens.
It forces
and
us to
Gregor's
ask
condition
ourselves,
becomes this
if our value
terrifying
as a
metaphor
person
for
isn't
modern
tied to our
life.
job,
We're all in
to our
these
productivity,
huge impersonal
then
systems,
what is it tied to? Where does
bureaucracies,
it come from?
corporations
And that's the
that
question
don't
Kafka
operate
leaves
on
burning
human
in our
logic. They
minds.
just
And
run.
man,
And
is
when
it
you
more
become an
relevant today than ever
inconvenience
before.
to the system,
There's no one to appeal to. You're just out.
and the absolute tragedy here is that Gregor is still conscious. He's still Gregor Samsa inside that shell.
He's fully present. He understands every word they say, every whisper. He feels everything.
But he can't communicate any of it.
Hmm.
His voice is just clicks and chirps. He tries to tell them he's still there, that he's still their son.
But they just hear noise,
Yeah.
disgusting animal noise.
And that feels like the real core of alienation, doesn't it?
It's the absolute essence of it. He is rendered voiceless. He's treated as if he doesn't exist because he can't express himself in a way that the social system recognizes. If you can't be seen or heard,
You don't matter.
you don't. Kafka's showing us that so much of modern suffering is silent. It's internalized. The real horror isn't being a bug. It's being alive and conscious and completely invisible to the people who are supposed to love you most.
Okay, this is where it gets really dark, because we have to talk about the ending. After months of this, it's his sister, Greet, who delivers the final blow.
Yeah.
She's the one who finally says it out loud. It must go.
And that moment is just, it's the most devastating part of the book because it's not an emotional outburst. It's a calm, rational decision.
It's a business decision.
It is. Greet has completely learned the lesson of their society. Gregor is no longer family. He is an object, a thing that is holding them back. Getting rid of it is just a practical step.
And after that, Gregor just gives up. He dies quietly that night, alone.
His death is so anticlimactic, it's like a footnote.
Yeah.
And the family's reaction confirms the whole brutal point of the novel. There's no mourning.
No grief.
There is immediate, overwhelming relief.
They stretch, they go outside, they feel the sun in their faces and start making plans for the future.
Yeah. And Greet, especially, is described as blossoming. She's ready to take her own functional role in the world now.
So Kafka's saying that society doesn't even pause for those who stop being useful.
Not for a second. The machine of productivity just keeps running. Gregor's entire life of sacrifice, working to pay off his parents' debt, it's all forgotten the instant he becomes a burden.
His existence was only validated by his function.
And once the function ceased, the person was disposable.
So the metamorphosis really forces you to face something incredibly uncomfortable. This idea that alienation isn't an accident. It's a consequence of the very systems we've built.
It's a structural feature, not a bug, pardon the pun. And it's timeless. I mean, this deep dive shows that Gregor's fate is this powerful reflection on identity and isolation in a world that just demands productivity over everything else.
Right.
And it leaves us with this huge, profound question that Kafka never answers. He just insists that we confront it. If human worth isn't rooted in our productivity, if it's not about our job or the money we make, then where is it? Where does the intrinsic value of just being human come from?
That is the question we want to leave with you. As you go about your day, think about your own roles, your perceived usefulness, and where you find that true unconditional value in yourself and others, completely separate from your ability to produce.
A heavy thought to end on.
It is. But a necessary one. Thank you for diving deep with us.